Hi guys, thanks for clicking and watching my review of WWE 2K22. Before I get into the video, I'd like to give a big thank you to the folks over at 2K. They have graciously provided the game to me for review purposes. For those interested, I will be reviewing the WWE 2K22 NWO edition for the Xbox One. The graphics and images that you will see in this video are not reflective of what the game looks like on the next-gen consoles, which I hear is really pretty, by the way. If you like my review, please feel free to like and subscribe, and you can also give me a follow over on Twitch, twitch.tv/LINSMWARD, LINSWARD. Now, let's get into the game.
Welcome to WWE 2K22!
This game definitely hits different. Right off the bat, you can tell 2K made a lot of improvements to the game's UI. We have a new gameplay engine and new controls. They were exceptionally thoughtful regarding the redesign and took their time with it. It's clean, simple, and handles really nicely. They definitely thought about the game's functionality on the whole, which is absolutely appreciated. Even though I'm on an older console, the graphics for the game are beautiful. I love the contrast of the bright colors against the soft grays. I also really enjoyed the soundtrack for the game. Kudos to Machine Gun Kelly and his team on the music selection. It's nice to see that there's multiple types to listen to versus only one genre like there's been in the past. My one criticism of the sounds and music is that I wish I could turn the sound effects off for the in-game keyboard. You can lower the sounds and music, but you can't turn certain ones off. It's not a deal breaker for me or really for you, but I did end up muting certain portions of the game because the sound effects did get a little overwhelming for me. Some of the new features of the game include a completely redesigned gameplay engine. Visual Concepts redesigned the gameplay and animation engine from the ground up to make every dive, kickout, and finisher feel as real as if players were sitting ringside at WrestleMania. And it shows. With all of the changes, one of the things you need to do is a tutorial. As someone who is used to laying the smackdown on Abyss Mages and Kids Doing 90s, I found it exceptionally helpful in finding my footing in the game. Even if you have more experience with 2K franchise, I would still absolutely recommend doing the tutorial before jumping into the game. The entertainment value alone is worth it. Coach Gulak walking you through training with his pseudo PowerPoint presentation was definitely a highlight for me. I also appreciated his commentary during the tutorial. It just proved that Drew Gulak deserves way more love. The tutorial gives you a really good view of the overhauled fighting engine in the game. The tighter camera angles and smaller ring make the overall experience so much better. My only criticism of the tutorial is I wish it was expanded. As a newer player, things like blocking, pinning, and finishers weren't exactly intuitive to me, and the prompts to use them went by a little too quickly. Overall, I did find it incredibly beneficial and would love to see it continue on in the future iterations of the game. Alright guys, let's get into the new modes for the game. I'm going to start with the My GM mode. This has the best setup. The video package featuring all the past GMs and staff was awesome. I literally got chills just listening to it and watching it. There's so much great history there, and it was the perfect way to intro the My GM mode. It's making its highly anticipated debut in WWE 2K22. The My GM mode allows fans to call the shots as the WWE General Manager. It's all our dreams, right? Featuring Raw, SmackDown, NXT, or NXT UK, players can take the reins to compete against rival GMs. Become the top-rated show by setting up intense rivalries, over-the-top match types, championship showdowns, pay-per-view events, and an ever-escalating arms race of arenas and audiences. Once players have set the stage, they can play as a superstar, interfere as a GM, or call the shots from behind the scenes. I'll admit this was a little tricky to figure out at first. I'm not very good at this kind of stuff, but I'm very curious to see how this progresses. To me, it seems a lot like it's fantasy football, but wrestling, which is definitely fun. Some friends and I actually do a fantasy wrestling league, kind of like fantasy football, with WWE. So it's neat to see it in the game, but in a much more refined format than what we do, I'm sure. I also feel like it could be something really cool down the line. But I do wish that it was a little bit more expanded because it really only has 2 titles and 2 match types, but simplicity is probably best here. There's definitely room to expand this down the line though, but for now though, it makes sense to keep it somewhat limited so we can all figure it out as we go. Up next, let's talk about the My Faction mode. This is a franchise first. The all-new single-player, that's right, single-player, no co-op, collectible card game puts players in control of building a legendary faction that rivals the iconic NWO. Players will collect, manage, and upgrade superstars with weekly events and regular updates. Now we've got 4 different types of currency that's virtual that you can use in the game. You have My Faction points, My Faction tokens, store tokens, and virtual currency. Now what those are, let me explain. Your My Faction points, those can be spent on card packs and contracts and are rewarded for completing matches and challenges. My Faction tokens can be spent in the token rewards market to unlock powerful WWE Superstar and Legend cards. They're also rewarded for completing matches and challenges, so that's good. You have virtual currency, and that's available for purchase, so you can buy that in the game. And you can expend it exclusively in the My Faction section on card packs, boxes, and contracts. Just as an important reminder, anything that players can purchase with virtual currency can also be unlocked with My Faction points. And in addition, My Faction is a single player only experience, so players cannot gain a competitive advantage over other players by purchasing virtual currency. So basically, you cannot pay to win here. They make sure that you can. However, you can pay to win for yourself. You just can't do it against other people. So, like you do. And last but certainly not least, we have the store tokens. They're earned for gameplay throughout all non-faction modes. These tokens can be spent in the purchasable store to unlock superstars and any other items for the use in the non-faction modes. This is very different for this game. I'm interested to see how this progresses. I did unlock it. I did go through it. And I'm going to continue to play with it and mess with it as time passes because you have daily and weekly incentives to come in and play it as you progress. So I kind of want to see where this goes. I don't usually play these types of games. They're not necessarily my thing. But I am curious to see where it goes. So maybe we'll do that together on stream. Who knows?
So this is it. Day 1 of training at the WWE Performance Center.
Last but certainly not least is everyone's favorite story mode for the game, My Rise. With over 50 hours of content, My Rise gives players the opportunity to experience the journey of a WWE superstar, from the humble beginnings of a rookie at the Performance Center to the challenge of becoming a superstar to being immortalized as a WWE legend. With unique men's and women's division storylines available for the first time in franchise history, players will encounter an array of WWE superstars and legends as they embark on the journey. They included women! Thank you! Thank you so much. I think that was like one of my biggest disappointments in the past was they had a story mode, but you really couldn't do women. So thank you so much for doing a female superstar. I greatly appreciate it. That's pretty cool. And honestly, the cutscene to start this off is really, really fun. I appreciate how they did it. And it has cutscenes throughout. I've only progressed past really the creation stage because I had to go back and fix my guy. I will talk about that in the creation portion. But I have only gotten to the first part, but I'm eager to play this and excited to play this because if you know me and you know what types of games I play, I really do enjoy story games. So the fact that there's 50 hours of content for the story mode, I'm here for this. Let's go. It's going to be super exciting.
In a universe populated by monsters, giants, and larger-than-life beings, I was determined to find my own path to the top of the mountain in sports entertainment.
One of the best features of this game, aside from everything else in it, is the showcase mode. It's, I think, everybody's really favorite mode because we get such an amazing perspective into an individual superstar's career. And this year is no exception. Our cover star is Rey Mysterio. We all love Rey. He's amazing, he's awesome, and he is our showcase superstar for 2022. It opens with a really fantastic overview into his career with him narrating it and him talking about it, and even just the brief overview that he gives. It really demonstrates how much he loves this industry and how much he's meant to this industry as a whole. I'm just going to say it right now, Rey Mysterio for the Hall of Fame, let's go. But I really enjoyed the video and everything that he had to say, and just the look back into the past, because I had really forgotten that it had been 20 years since he had arrived in WWE, and then he had a whole other career before he ever came. Unfortunately, I never saw WCW. I started watching wrestling really after WCW kind of died, but just to go back and get to see some of the history that he made before he ever came to WWE is really cool to me. And it goes into his timeline and what we get to see. So it spans from 1997 all the way to 2020. And we start in WCW at Halloween Havoc, where we have Rey Mysterio taking on Eddie Guerrero for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. And it ends with Rey Mysterio taking on Grand Metalik on Monday Night Raw. Now there is a final match that you can unlock, but you have to play through the entire showcase mode to get to it. And sadly, I have not unlocked it yet, but I will definitely play through it and unlock it and let you know. Let's get into my favorite portion of the game, the Creation Suite. All of our favorite options are still available, with some bonus Easter eggs along the way. Check out some of the names in the motion menu and see if you can't find some familiar references along the way. Seriously guys, it definitely made me smile to let a few in, if you know what I mean. I like the initial entry into the Creator Wrestler system with the different classes and body types. The videos on the bottom showing the superstars that fit into each class is a nice touch. I also like the stats to the right, but I didn't find them beneficial as they're a little basic and nondescript. As someone who isn't very good with that type of thing, it wasn't super helpful to me. Another neat thing are the different personas. If you aren't interested in going ultra deep into creating every detail of your superstar, then this option is a great workaround. You can select your outfit based on the persona type and move on. If you're like me and you like to get into the weeds with the Creation Suite, then you can select no persona and design at will. In terms of designing a superstar, the options available are much easier to see. There seems to be more contrast on the starter faces and body, which eliminates the endless scrolling through options. Additionally, they've also colorized the outfits, which is a huge help. My largest critique of the new system is the organization of it. I had a very hard time finding the hair and additional body customization options after the initial setup. I ended up asking a friend who is also reviewing the game if he knew how to find it. Lucky for me, he did. Shout out to my buddy Wild Talk Radio for helping me out with that. For anyone wondering, the hair and additional body customization options are under the attire section of the menu. Finding this actually made me wonder if the additional options were in 2K20 all along, and I simply couldn't find them. Having to dig for them diminishes the overall experience, especially when you get into the My Rise mode. I did that before I did the Creation Suite, and my guy was running around with terrible hair and bad clothes for the first part because I simply didn't understand how the creation system worked. I think this portion of the game could stand a tutorial or possibly a menu rework to make it slightly more user-friendly, especially for newer players like me. I'm sure some of the more experienced players didn't have a problem though. I am happy that the face and customization options are back. It was something I missed in 2K20. So to sum it all up, my thoughts on the game are that WWE 2K22 is a fantastic step forward in the franchise. While the criticism of WWE 2K20 was a little extreme at times, it really feels like 2K really listened to their players and made a definitive effort to improve the overall experience of this game. The majority of the game is well thought out and well executed with only minor problems here and there. Regarding the overall experience, the only negative for me is something that is completely out of 2K's control. Unfortunately for this game, WWE made massive changes in the back half of 2021. This included additional roster cuts and a complete revamp of NXT. Due to the production schedule of this game, some of those things couldn't be included. Because of this, the game does feel slightly dated, but I don't feel it impacts the enjoyment that you get from playing the game. It's also something that can be updated later with DLC content if 2K feels the need. Overall, in my opinion, WWE 2K22 is absolutely worth it. They have a little something for everyone, which is really nice. I love how simple and clean it is, and I'm eager to see how the different modes in the game progress. If you're on the fence about this game, then don't be. It's worth a try. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review. I'd like to say thank you again to 2K for the chance to review this game. It's been a ton of fun to explore it, and I hope everybody enjoys it. If you played the game, what was your favorite part of WWE 2K22? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, You can also give me a follow over on Twitter at LINSMWARD, LINSWD, or you can come hang out with me on Twitch, twitch.tv/LINSMWARD. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.